And welcome back to episode 3 of Tribal Council Chat. We're your hosts. I'm Bruce Heller, alongside Brett Part, and we have a really fun show for you guys today. So let's dive right in. So our first topic is we're going to be doing a bit of a discussion on blood versus water. Not either of the two seasons specifically, but just the theme as a whole. So what are your opening thoughts on this?
So this was a great subject, Bruce. First of all, I really like this theme. I think it's just such a neat dynamic to see as not only how players play together when they're with their loved ones, but also how players react. That we've seen some very successful players whose loved ones have gone out early,
Yeah.
and as a result of that, it's almost the big question I have in any blood versus water season in any country is really, is it an advantage to have your loved one around or not?
Well, and it's in a way it changes the gameplay so much because on a normal season you can go out there and you have your strategy set and here's what I'm gonna do and you know if I hurt people or make people mad, okay, maybe that's worth it depending on how you plan on playing. But now you've got a loved one with tied to you from your real life that what you do not only affects your game, maybe you can overcome that, but it'll affect your partner also on the other tribe. As we see in the first Blood versus Water season early on, the new players, because the first one is half returners, half new players. The returners win a challenge. Jervis celebrates winning the challenge, which people always celebrate winning the challenge, by the way. And the new players get upset with him challenging that, and as revenge, vote Marissa out, which really dumb reason to vote someone out. It's because their loved one was celebrating a challenge, but it's just such a deeper, more thoughtful level of gameplay than a normal season.
Absolutely. And then you look at the next one too, how, not to spoil what happens or who goes where in any season, but it's like Kelly had to be sort of responsible for her dad's actions, as you would
Oh
know as a
yeah,
big Wentworth fan.
playing with her, and she has told me this. Well, I don't know if this was how she phrased it, but playing with her dad, in my opinion, sunk her game. Her first season,
Yep, I
definitely.
agree.
Happy birthday
And
to
then,
Kelly Wentworth, by the way.
yes, absolutely.
And
Happy.
so,
Then we saw, like, in her next game, she comes out non-winning games to ever be played.
yeah, so close to making final tribal, just one
Absolutely.
immunity away. And so, let me a second. I had some stuff written down for this. Here we go. So, amongst the two different blood versus water seasons are entirely identical, as we mentioned earlier. One was half returnees, one was all newbies, one was one had Redemption Island, one didn't, and the one that didn't had Exile Island, which was still an extra island of content, but different kind of content. So, what were some of your preferences there, or what you liked better?
To me, I always like seeing a Blood versus Water season with, like we saw in 27, with half returnees.
Yeah,
The reason for that is, especially with, and it's not going to be for everybody, but with certain characters that we've already seen that relationship for maybe 2 minutes in the loved one visit episode,
yeah,
and then it expands into a whole season.
yeah,
And sometimes
and
I'll watch loved one visit episodes and go, okay, where could you find potentially some really good players in the future?
definitely. And then, what about Redemption Island? What do you think? Yes or no on that?
Um, I'm kind of torn on this. At one point, I would have definitely said no. I'm still not the biggest fan of the idea of getting back in because the whole premises is once your fire is gone, so are you.
Yeah,
At the same time, at least with Redemption Island, the people who do get back in are winning and winning and winning and winning some more. It's
Yeah.
not like EOE where they essentially just have immunity the whole way through, win one challenge, and boom, I'm in the finale.
Yeah, and I think with the blood versus water twist, Redemption Island is a little bit better than it is normally because I'm
Agreed.
rewatching 27 right now. I have been for a while. I'm just really slow because I've been busy. My mom breezed through the season in like a week or two. So, but right now I think I've just got the finale left. So Sierra's counting on, she's flipped at this point and is counting on, hey, my mom's a beast out at Island. She can possibly come back if me and Hayden can just stay alive. Like with the blood versus water twist and having the loved ones, Redemption Island adds that extra threat to the strategy of everything.
Especially with, like you say, the chance that in, say, a five or like a 3-2 split at final five, somebody joins who has a loved one on the other side, and next thing you know, it's an unbreakable bond at 3-3 that's willing to go to rocks.
Yeah. And we got rocks in that season at 6. I think if
Probably
Sierra,
the best rock draw since like season 4.
well, and because all the confessionals and things we saw from Sierra before Tribal was solid. She wasn't gonna flip to go join Hayden and Katie, and then they convinced her to flip at Tribal, which the first time I watched the season that kind of surprised me. But watching back now, you know, I think it would have been better to flip the round before when you had 4. It would have been 4 against 3 instead of forcing rocks. But
Absolutely.
you know, you always
You
see
have to
it
do
could
it
have
at
worked better when you
with
look back on it.
yeah, you have to do it with numbers advantage if you want to have a chance to make a big move against a player who is really good at this game, like
Yeah.
Tyson.
But I mean, it was a good move to take that risk either way, because if she goes with
Oh,
the others,
absolutely.
then she ends up fourth, which she does anyway. I'm pretty no. Tina was fourth. Sierra was fifth.
Yeah.
'Cause I read some. I've read a couple of different places. There's a good chance Tina wins if she makes the end,
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Very possible.
and she was almost the second two-time winner. And honestly, I love Tina, by the way. But I'm curious, had she become the second two-time winner on that season, if she would have gotten the flack from the fan base, myself included, that Chris Underwood has gotten. And it's kind of different because Redemption Island
Yes.
isn't as broken of a twist as Edge of Extinction is, but similar concept.
True. That's a good point. Something I never thought of. Might have helped too a bit that Blood versus Water, all while yes, it was still in the modern era, wasn't like as big on social media as the very new school seasons.
Yeah. And speaking of Tina, this is something else that's cool about Blood versus reminds me of something else that's cool about this twist. And especially with the first season is we get to see how these different relationship dynamics is you've got on one hand you've got Laura and Sierra who both know that going to the end together isn't likely and have
Yeah.
given the other one their blessing to do what's best for their own game, and one Sierra ends up voting her mom out. It's one of
Yeah.
Probst's favorite lines to quote. And then you've
Yeah.
also got on the other extreme end, you've got Tina and Katie who Tina doesn't want to take her daughter out at a redemption. Laura's already won. Tina almost is like asking her daughter 2 or 3 times, "Is it okay if I walk through this door and finish this?" And just interesting relationship
Reminds
dynamics.
that part just reminds me of like those more strategy moments where you'll that we'll see in the challenge where like someone is just you can tell about to win and doesn't win.
Yeah. Well, and the other relationship I thought was cool was Aris and Vetus kind of repairing their relationship that had been damaged over the years.
Absolutely. That was one of the great storylines of any Blood versus Water season.
I wish we would have gotten to see Vetus longer on his second season.
Yeah,
That
agreed.
would have been so much fun. But
And what do you think about the new player season? What's your kind of general thoughts on San Juan del Sur?
it's I'm trying to think because I went through and ranked all my favorite seasons a while ago. It's number 5 for me, so pretty high up there. I
Nice.
really like it. Natalie is my favorite winner, which I kind of watch things out of order. I saw Winners at War live before I went back and rewatched 29 because my mom got me into the show at Ghost Island was the first season I watched, I believe. So love Natalie, love her storyline. Obviously, like I've said on the premiere of this show, Kelly Wentworth is tied for my favorite player of all time, and that's the season that introduced her to the Survivor universe. So San Juan del Sur is a really awesome
Talk
season.
It's funny how you talk about watching all the seasons a bit out of order because as we mentioned last time we filmed, I watched season 1 when it was live,
Yeah.
same as Australia, and then I didn't there was just other things going on in my family life at the time. I didn't actually watch Africa Umo Cases until COVID,
Oh wow.
and then got back into it at Thailand of all seasons and went all the way
Yeah.
through 40.
I really like Africa is my mom's favorite season. That was the last one she watched live and then came back at 30, I want to say, on
Nice.
Worlds Apart,
So
which
for San Juan del Sur, I want to ask you, since I know you're a big fan of Natalie, um, on the topic of blood versus water, do you think it was a big advantage for her, even for Jeremy on that season, to see their loved ones go so early?
I mean, I could see it going either way because on like the argument for it being a disadvantage is you're seeing all these people that have their loved ones with them, and you're seeing John and Jacqueline be support each other, for example, and the
Yep.
two of them being the power vote in like 3 or 4 episodes in a row, they have the swing vote, which good for them for putting themselves in that position. But on the other hand, you don't have that extra person to worry about how what you're doing affects them. You don't have it's like with 27, I feel like because the pre-merge of 27, well, pre-swap even, it's just the rise and fall of Brad Culpepper. And once he was gone, I feel like Monica was able to kind of expand her game and do a lot better, not having to worry about him. And I feel like it was probably
Yeah,
the same for the two you mentioned in 29. That, like, yeah, it probably would have been helpful having Nadia or having Val around, but there's advantages to not having them also.
that's true. And final question, one that was in our notes that I think was really good. If you were to be on a season with this twist, who do you think you'd want to play with?
It'd be my mom for sure. She's who got me into the show. And let me pull this up because with her watching, I could tell she had gotten to the Sierra and Laura episode last weekend because she basically sent me a text and said, if we're ever on one of these and it benefits your game, vote me out.
Nice.
And like she told me her strategy going in was to basically sell the fact that she's treating it like a normal season. And I would too. Like we're both very competitive. Like she's never been the parent to like let me win and stuff, and I wouldn't want her to. So that works well. But like even
Yes.
board games like Sorry and stuff, like so yeah, we would just go out there and play our own games and try to play together, but I think the two
Yeah.
of us would have no problem voting each other out also.
Nice. For me, it would definitely be my sister.
Nice.
She is, shout out to you, Leah, the first person to follow us on social media for this podcast, and
Thank you.
she does not watch Survivor at all. But it would be really neat. I think she, even though she isn't a super fan of the show, she would definitely be good at the show. She works in youth treatment for people in the criminal justice system, so you really need good social skills for that.
Yeah.
And she's also very would be great in challenges.
I'm trying to think, did we have a brother sister pair on either of the two Blood versus Water seasons?
That is a great thing. I'd have to look at it after the season
I know
or after the episode.
we had siblings of the same gender. I'm not pulling up Brant Steele on my phone to just look at the cast of each seasons. So does not look like we did in 27.
No.
Nothing's coming to mind for 29, but I'll see. No, I don't think we did. So you guys would be the first brother-sister
Be
pair.
an
That'd be
interesting
awesome.
dynamic. Okay, so let's move into our next segment. We are going to be doing another one of our fantasy drafts that we want all of you to say who actually won the draft. There's going to be a few differences this week.
Yeah.
Rather than picking 6 players, we're going to pick 8. And I put in a few rules that Bruce and I agreed to just to make us have to think a little bit more outside the box. It's still going to be equal players between men and women, so 4 and 4. However, you have other 5 seasons, which in this case is going to be
26 through
26
30.
through 30. That's our draft window this week. You have to pick one player from each season. You have to have one player on your team who made the jury but did not make the finale of the season. And you have to have one player from the pre-merge. Make
Yep.
sense?
And
With that, Bruce,
also,
you have the first pick. And instead of being in a snake draft this week, because that was a little confusing with delays on Zoom, we're just going to go in rotational order. So Bruce will pick, I'll pick, Bruce will pick. Keep
okay.
rotating until we fill in our 8 spots.
So with my first pick, I'm going to knock my pre-merger out of the way. And I mean, I kind of have to. It's her birthday. She's one of my 2 favorite players ever. I'm going to take Kelly Wentworth off the board immediately.
Excellent pick. Definitely like that pick, especially for a pre-merger. She's one of the best all time to go out that early, and really proved it in her next 2 seasons, where she easily, if chips fell a little bit different, could have won the game.
Yeah, for sure. And almost won it her second time too.
Yeah. And with my pick, I am going to do the complete opposite. I am going to knock a winner off the board early, and that is Tony Vlachos.
Oh, okay, cool. You had me
I
nervous at
was
winner
shocked
first.
that you didn't go there.
Yeah, I had to go with my favorite player first. It is what it is.
Absolutely. I mean, go ahead.
You took Tony. He won Winners at War. I'm gonna go ahead and take another winner off the board with my second pick that finished second place in Winners at War. Second, and take Natalie Anderson.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, very good pick. Definitely one of the most physically strong players of all time.
Just total boss all the way around. Good at all
Oh,
three
yeah.
parts of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. With my next pick, I am going to go take a juror, but who did
Ooh,
not make the finale from Survivor Karamoan, one of the nicest people I've ever met on Zoom, Andrea Belke.
ooh, good choice. Yeah, she was one of. I was putting out my draft board yesterday of who I wanted, so I wouldn't be sitting here looking stuff up while we're recording. And I thought about Andrea, so I will. Hmm, okay, so I was gonna do something, but I was gonna take another woman, but one of the men on my board is a very popular player. I'm afraid you're gonna take him, so I'm gonna go ahead and take Malcolm from 26, just so that I don't lose him waiting too long.
Great pick. Yeah, definitely was high on my draft board, so I really like it from Karamoan. And excellent pick.
Super likable
Mine,
player.
I'm gonna kind of stick with your theme. Grab someone who's a very strong player at the physical game in this spot, and that is the best physical game of all time, Mike Holloway.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, he's one of the. I was gonna say one of the few people that's won where the physical third of the game was his primary game, but I'm pretty sure he's
I'd
the
argue the
only one
only
to do
one.
that.
Yeah.
Ozzy almost did in 13, but not quite. So let me see. So I've got 29 and 26 covered. I'll go ahead and follow your lead with 30 and take Jen Brown off the board.
Great
Really
pick.
fun character.
Yes, she is. I'm always jealous of her Instagram stories. I was down in the British Virgin Islands recently.
Nice, nice.
Looking at mine. I am going to take one of my favorite players of all time. It's been a very sad year in the survivor community, and I want to select Keith.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm glad you did that. I love Keith on both of his
Oh, same
seasons.
as me. One of
Both of his
the best
seasons.
confessionalist in the history of the franchise.
Uh-huh. Both of his seasons are in my top five favorite season. So yeah, one of my favorite players. Let me see here. So I've got 29, 30, 26 covered. I'll go and knock 28 off the board and take Spencer Bledsoe.
Um, definitely like that. For yours, I'm not sure if you ever heard, but it was funny. I was watching an interview with Probst at the time, and Probst told Spencer in his casting, "We want to pick you, but you're never gonna win," and he almost won twice.
Yeah. And Spencer's one that, like, I get the detraction why some people don't like him. He does kind of come off as arrogant a lot of the time, but he's a fun character. I enjoy his confessionals and his storytelling. And his zero chance of winning the game line to cast at tribal council is just such a that's a move. I don't know how else to describe it.
I threw that out in an online reality game one time late as I was getting blindsided, and it was great.
Yeah, that's great.
My next pick, I need to take a female player here. My team is definitely too male heavy at this point, and I'm gonna go with someone who probably on a lot of seasons might have won, lost to your favorite winner of all time, Jacqueline Schultz.
Oh, that's a good one. I thought about putting her on my board, but I already had Kelly and Natalie, and I didn't want three of my four women to be from the same season. So that's a really good pick. I like Jacqueline, really solid player, socially and strategically. Um, a part of one of my favorite tribal councils and idol plays with Natalie saying, Jacqueline, did you vote for who I told you to vote for? When Jacqueline was the plan to be voted out. So
Oh, that was amazing.
with
So
my
3 rounds to go.
with my next pick, I am going to Kara Moen for my final woman, and it's somebody who was really good on Kara Moen. And again, I saw her second season before her first season. Was one of the few bright spots on her first season, and that is Brenda Lowe.
Good pick. She was very a dominant player in all aspects of the game and one who probably deserves so much more other than getting blindsided.
Yeah, and to be on two seasons that the fan base just doesn't seem to like. So,
Yeah.
where are you going next?
Um, with my next pick, I need, let me just take a look. I am going to go to Worlds Apart and take Carolyn Rivera.
Oh, that's a good one.
And we have 2 rounds left.
Yep,
If I look at this board,
I've got two guys left.
yeah, you
So
have 2 guys left.
I am going, let me see. I am going to go to
Just 1 second,
27.
Bruce. Bruce, before you do that, just 1 second. I'm just going to read out what seasons to say if anybody needs to hit any seasons.
Okay.
You need to hit 27, so this is perfect. And I have 28, 26, 30, 29. I need to hit Blood versus Water as well.
So I'm taking
So
Hayden,
perfect.
somebody who came into Survivor as a new player with his girlfriend at the time, Kat, had won a different reality show, Big Brother. And, as we see on the challenge, being good on Big Brother doesn't always translate well to being good at other games. But Hayden killed it on 27.
Oh, he did. He would have been interesting to see him be possibly the first player to win two CBS shows.
Yeah, for sure. That's been done now, right? No,
um,
sorry. The people that
no.
won the Amazing Race last season were on Big Brother. I don't think they won it.
Yeah, I
Okay.
believe so. Okay, so I am going to now take a I'm gonna take my pre-merger at this point. I still need one. You have taken Kelly. And I'm gonna go with a player that was great to meet in person. One that I would have loved to see last longer, and that's Bryce Isaiah.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I like the podcasts that he will appear on from time to time. Him and Rob Sessionino are a great pair together. And so,
Yes,
for
they are.
my final guy pick, I can't believe I'm going back to Karamoan because that just seems like a season that the fan base as a whole doesn't seem to like very much. But there's some decent people in this cast. I'm going with the winner of that season, John Cochran, who is in my top 10 favorite winners. I love Cochran. Great
Oh,
character.
excellent pick. Would have been nice to see him at when he was at War if he wasn't employed by CBS. He would have went really far.
Oh, that would have been again, one of my favorite confessionalists. Just overall as a character, seeing him go from the person in South Pacific that's his tribe is making it very clear to him he's on the bottom, and to go from that to just kind of this warrior we see in Caramoan that dominates everything is really cool.
Yeah, it is. And now I have to go to Blood versus Water. I still need a player from that season. This makes my, and I also need one female. This makes a very easy selection. Sierra Easton Moret.
Oh, that's such a good one. I love Sierra. One of my favorite players. Cool. So we have
And that rounds out our draft. So to conclude, Bruce's team consists of Kelly Wentworth, Natalie Anderson, Malcolm Freeberg, Jen Brown, Spencer Bledsoe, Brenda Lowe, Hayden, what's his last name?
Moss, I believe.
Yeah, and John Cochran. My team is going to be Tony Flatchouse, Andrea Belkey, Mike Holloway, Keith Nail, Jacqueline Schultz, Carolyn Rivera, Bryce Isaiah, and Sierra Moret.
Yep,
So we can't wait to post this on social media and let you guys vote on who the winner is.
that is Tribal Council Chat on Facebook and at tribalcouncil.chat on Instagram.
That's right. And we'll also share it in Survivor Fan Jury.
Yep. And so my team is Team Camp Life, man. We're gonna have some fun camp scenes in the episodes this season.
Yeah.
And so it's telling
So
me
now,
Zoom is telling me we've got
um,
10 minutes left. So we'll jump into our last segment, which, as always, is Align Blindside First Boot. We give each other three names, and you're on a season with these people. So you have to pick one to align with, one to blindside, and one to vote out as the first boot of your season.
that's right. Do you want to start or do you want me to
Sure.
start?
So do you want me to tell you the theme for this, or do you want me to tell you the names and see if you can figure it out?
Up to you.
Do what?
Up to you.
Okay, so Matt Elrod, Ozzy Loss, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, and Laura Moret.
Matt. Redemption Island winners.
Redemption Island dual beasts, just kind of dominating the Redemption Island duels of
Nice.
their season.
I like it. I am going to ally with Laura.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's the player in this group that knows the game the best and you can really work with to go far
Yeah.
and actually get to the end. Even though she's probably the hardest to beat at this point, if you don't get to be sitting at final, what's the point of actually having a good alliance?
Yeah.
You got to get to her, then you get to convince the jury to vote for you. So I'm going to take Laura to the end. My juror, who I'm going to blindside, will be Matt Elrod. I
Mm-hmm.
think he'd be the easiest to blindside based on his game. I mean, well, it's hard to say. Rob did it quite a bit, but it's also Rob. He's one of the best artists of the blindside ever to live.
Rod did it twice, and the second one was right when he came back too.
Yeah. What I was saying they should have done in 38. That's a different story. And then, but I also think that it would be very interesting to see how a player like Matt would respond to being on the jury. And then finally, I am going to first boot Ozzy. 26 in Karamoan shows me every reason why this is an absolute must if I'm going to win. Because it in the way Ozzy plays the game, if you can't keep up to him physically, you're going to become a target. So he's going to go before I do because I certainly cannot keep up with Ozzy in a physical sense in tribal challenges.
Wait, why does 26 show you that? Ozzy wasn't on 26.
Sorry, I said the wrong number. I meant to say 23. Cochran's
Yeah.
first season.
So my approach to this was align with Laura for, like you said, she's the best at the game and we can get to the end.
Yeah.
The other two, my original thought was seeing how upset Matt got with Rob and say I don't want that guy on the jury. But then I thought about Ozzy's jury question in Micronesia and realized he would probably take a blindside hard also.
Yeah.
So ultimately it came down to Ozzy coming back for his second and third time. He just gets more arrogant and seems like he'd be more irritating to be around in camp each time. And for like you said, you can't let that guy get to individual challenges at all. So
Yeah.
I'll first boot Ozzy, blindside Matt, and go to the end with Laura and probably lose because she's really good at this.
Now for mine, I know last week when I brought Rich out, you said you always first boot the winner, so I thought I would make it tough for you. You
Oh
can't.
God.
Your theme is three dominant winners. You get to choose between Mike Holloway, Natalie Anderson, and Tyson Apostle.
Okay, this isn't bad because when I said that, I meant when there's a winner amongst non-winners.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Holloway, Natalie, and Tyson. I'll probably align with Natalie just because I want to play with her. She's total boss in every sense of the word, and I might lose when I get to the end, but I'll cross that bridge if I get there. The other two are hard. Mike went on an immunity run, so I'll go with him for the first boot because he'll help me in the pre-merge stay away from tribal council. But and then blindside Tyson, I just feel like A, it's the only option left, and B, he would respect the move.
Excellent. I love that distinction. Um, I would in this point ally with Mike. He's winning immunities. He's great at finding idols and could help you get to the end. And yes, he won through his challenges. It was of epic proportions, but
But
you go
his
into a
social
new
game,
season, that's not likely to happen again. We've seen it. We've seen Ozzy lose challenges. We've seen Joe lose challenges. We've seen Malcolm lose challenges. We've seen Jonathan lose challenges.
yeah. And
I am.
the thing with
Mhm.
Holloway is yes, his immunity run was impressive, but his social game put him in a point where he had to do that. So if you're
Exactly.
sitting at the end next to him, I mean, one
You
would
got
think
it.
you have a
You might
good
have a
chance of winning.
chance. And I am going to blindside Tyson. I
Yeah.
think he might take it a lot better. And as we've seen him on juries before, he's used to the situation. Natalie is just too good at this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I would first boot her just like they did on 40 for that sole reason and pray to God that there's not Edge of Extinction.
There's Redemption Island though, so she still comes back and finishes second.
It's always possible.
Okay, and that about wraps up this episode. Hit us up on social, Facebook Tribal Council Chat, Instagram tribalcouncil.chat, uh, tribalcouncilchat at Gmail if you want to send us an email or a question.
Yeah, send us emails, anything you want us to talk about on the podcast. We'd love to answer any user questions.
For sure. And until next week, we've been here, Tribal Council Chat. Grab your torches and head back to camp. Goodbye.